Hello, welcome to MJRRPG, a podcast for tabletop role-playing game reviews, replays, and whatnot and so forth. The following narrative replay is for the Call of Cthulhu scenario, The Necropolis, the first of 3 scenarios in Chaosium's Gateways to Terror book. If you're a player, or just don't want to know everything about the scenario ahead of time, you can read or listen to the first spoiler-light section of my review of The Necropolis on MJRRPG.com, along with the text version of this replay. And now, on to The Necropolis. As the dust and booming echoes settled, the explorers realized they were truly trapped. The archaeologist, the professor of languages, the dilettante, and the veteran had ventured into the Egyptian Valley of the Kings in search of an ancient tomb. After finding the tomb, local laborers excavated and lifted the stone slab covering the entrance. The party excitedly rushed in, and the laborers promptly dropped the stone slab back down. Lighting matches and candles, the darkness fled to reveal the narrow stone passageway confining the party. Faint voices of the laborers could be heard through the stone slab, but the voices simply faded away as the laborers abandoned their employers. Noticing sigils etched on the inside of the stone slab, the dilettante recalled from his dabbling in occultism that they were likely wards to protect against grave robbers. The professor then found limestone fragments on the floor, which the archaeologist said must have been from an undocumented prior excavation. Knowing the deep rumbles in the stone overhead and the thinning air portended a short life expectancy if they stayed put, the party ventured further down the passageway. Foreshadowing, via hieroglyphs lining the passageway depicting a dark pharaoh and his darker deeds, did not go unnoticed or unheeded by the professor, and the party decided the ex-soldier should take the lead from then on. The explorers pushed through a narrow archway into an antechamber crowded with treasures. Boats, furniture, gold and silver, and all manner of goods big and small crowding the walls and corners, creating crawl spaces and nooks in the shadows. The archaeologist recognized that the objects were pointedly not Egyptian, while the dilettante noted that someone had rushed through the chamber, breaking whatever was in their path. On one side of the room was a sealed passageway flanked by spooky animal-headed statues, and on the other side a broken-through archway into an annex chamber. Ignoring the statues for the moment, the group entered the annex, finding it covered in grand murals and containing more artifacts, as well as a desiccated corpse sprawling before a small shrine. The poor fellow had died violently, and small bite marks covered the bones. Pawing through the dead man's possessions, they found enough gold to last a lifetime, a passport and journal, and a stick of dynamite, which the dilettante quickly took into his care. The passport and journal identified the skeleton as that of a German explorer who had been trapped in the tomb, just as the current explorers were. His last entry said that he could hear noises behind the walls. Properly worried, the dilettante left the annex to check the statues, finding them to actually be mummified corpses with their heads replaced with those of animals, a realization he did not appreciate. To replace some of his lost courage, he took a huge axe from one of the statues. Meanwhile, the archaeologist and professor inspected the murals and shrine, finding more depictions of the black-robed pharaoh inflicting unspeakable horrors upon enemies and allies alike, along with some ghastly ritual weighing organs and deceased animals representing ancient Egyptian gods. Both explorers let out cries of revulsion, bringing the dilettante back into the room, who had the misfortune of suddenly comprehending that the black pharaoh was one of Nyarlathotep's many forms. With a deepening unease, he could not recall when, or where, or why he had learned that name. They then heard a muffle scraping from the other side of the sealed archway between the statues, followed by crashing and shuffling. Panicking, the heroes valiantly scuttled into whatever dark corners they could among the piled treasures, while the veteran readied his revolver. His experiences in the Great War steeled his nerves for many things, but unfortunately, not this. The seal exploded in a shower of stone and plaster, and through the dust strode in a hulking man, wrapped in stained and weeping bandages, wielding a massive sickle-bladed khopesh with the head of a wolf. The sight of it sent the veteran into hysterics, and his frenzied shots went wide as the beast descended upon him, rending him in half with a single slash of his oversized khopesh. As the beast greedily tucked into his feast, the archaeologist sneaked past the creature and into the now open chamber, finding it to be a burial chamber cast in darkness, and could only barely make out a large broken open sarcophagus and another archway out of the room. The professor tried to follow suit, but an errant slab of the late ex-soldier flopped into his path, nearly causing him to cry out. Steeling himself, he edged around the remains of his former comrade and slipped into the burial chamber. Not wanting to be left alone with the beast after it finished licking up what was left of the veteran, the dilettante also started sneaking towards the burial chamber. Unfortunately, he was not as successful as his compatriots, and knocked a rowboat off its perch, sending it sliding into the chamber, both drawing the beast's ire and also blocking his own escape. As the abomination stood to its full height, the dilettante knew he stood no chance even with his big ol' axe, and so he decided to take the bastard down with him. Letting the axe clatter to the floor, he took out the stick of dynamite, and knowing nothing about explosives, struck a match. While his plan was to give himself at least enough time to hurl the stick and run, he was not so lucky, and lit the fuse right at its base. In the burial chamber, the archaeologist and professor stumbled under a sudden shower of rubble and red mist, their ears ringing with the deafening thunder, screeching beast, and grinding of stone overhead. The tomb collapsing around them, the professor dove into the sarcophagus, while the archaeologist sprinted into the next chamber, taking a second to note the limestone jars that would no doubt have been useful had circumstances not been different, before scrambling under an upturned ornamental boat. Stone blocks crashed through the chambers, shattering priceless artifacts and filling the air with choking dust. But when the cacophony ended, with only the slight groaning of settling debris and the muffled snarling of a once again trapped abomination, the two explorers found themselves uncrushed and still breathing. Their exuberance soon died away, as the professor found the sarcophagus once again sealed shut by the fallen ceiling, and the boat sheltering the archaeologist snugly pressed down into the stone floor. No matter how hard they pushed, their tombs were well and truly sealed, and as their oxygen ran out, at least they went out hearing the beast's last whimper, knowing it shared the same fate. Thank you for listening. Once again, there is a review of this scenario for you to read or listen to, along with the written version of this replay on MJRRPG.com. If you'd like to run the Necropolis yourself, you can find links to it on DriveThruRPG, Chaosium site, or Amazon in the show notes. Credit and thank you to CryoChamber for use of their albums Cthulhu and Nyarlathotep. See show notes for links to their YouTube and Bandcamp. Until next time, have a good one. Lighting matches and candles, the darkness fled to reveal the shit.